Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coaster News. And there's actually some really big news this week, as always. And let's actually just get straight into the news today. And our top story tonight, Nemesis at Alton Towers is planned to be retracked within the next couple of years. And this is actually major news that has been predicted for a long time, ever since closed season, the 2019-2020 closed season, I think it were, or 2020-2021 closed season. It's been predicted for a long time, since pretty much this whole decade, and now last week it was confirmed, and it is major news. It basically, if you don't know what I'm on about, Nemesis is a B&M inverter coaster that opened in Alton Towers in 1994, and it is critically acclaimed to be one of the best roller coasters in the UK. Many have said it's the best coaster in the UK, and some have even said it's the best coaster in Europe. One of the best coasters in Europe. It is definitely one of my favourite coasters. It's actually the second favourite coaster of mine, with my favourite obviously being the Smiler. But obviously, because it's opened in 1994, that means it's 27 years old. So most coasters normally last about like 30 or 40 years old, and that is just, everyone's getting concerned that it might be removed. Although, the other day, Alton Towers released plans to retrack Nemesis, and this is absolutely just amazing news, because it means that Nemesis is going to be around for much longer, for generations to come, because Alton Towers, they definitely know the fans absolutely love this ride, and it would be a real tragedy to see it go. So they wanted to extend its life for as long as possible, and just doing this retrack will just make it last a lot longer. It's 27 years old, 28 years old this year, and the fact that they're retracking it is just amazing. We don't know when it's going to be retracked. It could be like, the top rumour at the moment is that it could start the retrack in 2023, and that it will be closed for that whole season, and it will reopen in 2024, which is actually, would probably be a perfect opportunity, because 2024 is Nemesis' 30th anniversary, and that would just be amazing to see it open for that season in a fresh new condition, which would be incredible. And I think Alton Towers even know that. So to do that next year, it will be amazing. They're saying that, although they're saying that as part of the retrack, they are having to fill the whole track of the ride with sand, or at least the whole sections that they're replacing. So that means that we won't hear the classic Nemesis roar anymore. And if you don't know, basically on Nemesis at the moment, when it's going through like a fast part of the ride, which is most of the ride, it makes an iconic roaring sound as it's flying through the track that's unlike anything ever seen on any roller coaster before, and it is just so iconic. It's one of the things that makes Nemesis. And so they're filling the whole track with sand in order to reduce the noise levels. So unfortunately, after this retrack, we may never hear the classic Nemesis roar again, which is so unfortunate. But if it's for the greater good to extend its life, then that's good. It's kind of bittersweet, because the retrack is going to extend the ride's life, but it's also going to end the classic roaring sound. But at least the ride will still be there. Which is actually, when Alton Towers reopens, I'm going to film some really amazing footage of the ride, like probably the best I've ever filmed, with the classic roaring sound effect one last time before the season ends and they start the retrack and we don't hear it anymore. So that'll be real. I'll actually upload it to my channel, and it'll be like a proper off-ride video. So that'll be really interesting. So at least they're doing this retrack to extend the life of Nemesis, which is one of the best coasters in the UK. So let's just hope that it lives up to the original version. In other news today, Busch Gardens Williamsburg has announced that Pantheon will open on the 25th of March 2022. And this ride is it's been long anticipated by American coaster fans for a while now, ever since mid to late 2019 when it was announced. they've been building it. There was actually, like Iron Gwazi and Icebreaker, which I've actually reported about in previous weeks. It was supposed to open in 2020, but obviously because of COVID, it got delayed until 2021, and I think because of financial issues, it got delayed until 2022. And they've announced an official opening date for opening of the 25th of March. And if you don't know what I'm on about, Pantheon is a new generation Intamin Blitz coaster, and this is actually a revolutionary for Blitz coaster technology because, well, I'm assuming it is, but basically it's like, unlike most Blitz coasters where it's kind of like a normal full circuit layout, well, Pantheon's a full circuit layout anyway, but basically like during the second launch, it actually it launches forward, but it doesn't go fast enough to go over the top hat, so it actually goes back downwards. And there's a switch track at the bottom, and it goes up a backwards vertical spike. Then it goes back down, goes at the maximum speed of 75 kilometers. No, not 75 miles an hour, I think it is, which will actually make it the world's fastest multi-launch coaster. That is insane. And it will go over the hill and through the rest of the layout, and the layout looks incredible. It does seem that Intamin have taken notes from RMC in terms of the track, because there's literally, just after the top hat, there's a turn which goes into an outward banking airtime hill, which is definitely like something that RMC would do. So I hope that there'll be a theme park that builds like something like this in the UK, because this ride just looks absolutely legendary. And it's obviously because it's in Busch Gardens, they do a lot of their rides with a lot of theming, and this one is no exception. So the story of this is basically, it's in the Italian area of the park near Apollo's chariot, and it's themed to various different Roman gods, and there's a lot of godlike mythology theme to it. So it's really amazing what they've done, and I can't wait for it to open on the 25th of March. Also in the news today, the plans for Project Amazon at Chessington World of Adventures have been approved, and this is incredible news for this ride, and it's actually a historical moment in the Chessington's history, because basically Project Amazon, it was announced last year, because last year in April, not long after the park reopened, they announced public consultations for a new roller coaster to open within the next couple of years. And this was actually immediately, fans just went on the internet and reported about this, because this is actually historic. Because by the time that ride opens, it'll be the first coaster at Chessington in 19 years. Everyone says how Thorpe Park are desperate to get a new coaster. I mean, they are, but Chessington is in more of a desperate need to get a new coaster, because they haven't had one since 2004 with Dragon's Fury. So they're in more desperate need for a coaster. And they announced it, and they did various different, in 17th, 18th of May, they revealed the layout of the ride and the ride manufacturer. It's going to be a B&M wing coaster, but it's going to have a few launches, some forward, and it's going to have some backwards beyond vertical spikes. Literally the ride will start launching backwards out of the station into a backwards vertical spike, then it'll go forwards through an inversion, a 0D roll, which is actually new for Chessington, because they're normally used to building like family rides, through a 0D roll, and into the second launch, which goes into a bit of a weird spike. It goes into like a helix, and then there's a bit where the track just stops and it goes backwards through the rest of the layout, and then the ride is over, and it's absolutely incredible what they're planning to do. It's a very innovative concept. I mean, Chessington could very easily brand this as like the world's first backwards swing coaster or something. And the top rumour is, of the theme of the ride, it's actually part of a new area, an Amazon themed area with 2 other children's flat rides, and it is rumoured to be themed to the highly successful film Jumanji, and specifically the I think it's the new ones, the ones starring Dwayne Johnson and things like that. And it's going to be, if it is, that would be amazing. I mean, it would make sense, because Chessington is like very sort of animal themed park. Most of the areas are themed to some sort of nature or jungle or just forest or things like that in nature. And so this is an Amazon themed area, and obviously Jumanji takes place mostly within a jungle, so it would make sense for it to be themed to Jumanji. And it's rumoured because on the plans it shows like a pathway that shapes like the original board game Jumanji. And that would be amazing if they did that. It would be so cool. I mean, obviously Gardaland in Italy, that's owned by Mill, and that's getting a Jumanji themed dark ride later this year. So it would make sense for them to use that branding once again with Chessington for their new coaster. That would be absolutely incredible if they did. I can't wait for a Jumanji themed ride to be opened in the UK, and that would be absolutely incredible. And finally in the news today, the paintwork on the upcoming 10 Inversion Coaster at Flamingo Land has officially started again. And I'm not just talking about like little tiny pieces of track like they did in the 2019-2020 off season. Like there was actually a couple of small track sections that were painted silver, because in the plans it showed it with silver track and black supports. But recently, I think it was yesterday, they'd started paintwork again, so it definitely shows that Flamingo Land are trying to get this coaster open for this season, especially since that the ride has been delayed for the past couple of years, and I think Flamingo Land should know by this point that fans are desperate for this ride to open. So they've not just done like a little bit, they've basically painted the entire final turnaround section silver. And I'm just thinking, oh my word, how have they done that so quickly? That is just amazing to see, and I mean, it's also really amazing what they're doing. I think they are definitely trying to get it open this season, especially since on Roller Coaster Database, the website, and bearing in mind, Roller Coaster Database are normally quite reliable. So if this is ever debunked information, please let me know. Basically, for the past couple of years, the ride used to be labelled as unknown, because obviously it didn't have an announced name by then. But recently they've actually changed it to Inversion. So I think that they've confirmed that the ride's going to be called Inversion, which is just absolutely amazing to hear that they've finally confirmed the name. I mean, there has been a few mixed opinions about the name, but at least we know it's been confirmed. Well, we assume it has, because especially since there was an email sent to people that stating about the ride. I think it was from this like travel company that was talking about the ride, and it said new for 2022 Inversion, and that Flamingo must have known about that, and they must have told them about it because it's on RCDB and they're normally quite reliable. So that's just amazing information, and I feel like they definitely are trying to open it this year. If not, then I don't know when it's gonna. If this ride isn't open this summer, which is what they're planning, I don't know if it's ever gonna open. But that is it for today's episode of Coaster News, and if you enjoyed the video, then please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what you'd like to see in the next video. Bye!